Heart open or walled in by mind. The heart carries hurt. Left untouched, wounds and hurts turn to grievances. Grievances become stories. We become victims of life. Heart becomes a storage vessel of unprocessed experiences. Mind serves this pain by keeping it at bay, walling it in and defending it with opinions, beliefs and judgment of self and others. And yet these strategies and defences only cause alienation and suffering. Quite a mouthful, but true. What are we going to do about the heart? It carries hurts, doesn't it? It carries wounds, carries sorrows. Carries in many ways the darkness. It certainly carries unprocessed, unprocessed stuff. It's the heart that hurts so much. And it's a difficult thing, because the heart longs to open, yearns for this freedom to love without bound, without condition. And yet there's a conundrum, because it can't really express or feel its fullest until somehow it's empty of everything that is carried. The heart hurts so much. See, in many ways, when I look back, I see my heart was so pure when I was young. My heart was so pure when I was young. Just a child, innocent, bubbly, just beautiful. I seem to have an innate recollection of that. Maybe that's the same for you. And then things happened, and the heart sort of contracted, unable to cope with trouble. Trouble in my life was from about the age of 10 onwards. And by the time I was 17, I would say, that heart was very walled in, wounded, so hurt. And of course, one can't understand it at that age, or speak to it, or know what to do about it. Or it's just, life is just happening when we're young. We don't have the capacity to comprehend, really. And so for me, that heart, love, tenderness, the heart, all the innocence, it still was there in some ways, but mostly it was, walled in, veiled by kind of dysfunctional, addictive mechanisms that, just kept the pain at bay or buried inside. I mean, I gave myself to hedonism. I gave myself to addiction and craziness, and it served me in those days. I was pretty much a new wave punky guy in London, and it was chaos. I survived. I would say sometimes only just. Quite a lot of heavy experiences that nearly took me out in some way, shape, or form. And the heart was just like, expressed itself sometimes, sought love, found love, and then completely destroyed love because of the pain that I was carrying inside. Such is the burden of youth in many ways, and the burden of trouble. But what I'm saying is, then things started to happen, and I'm sure you've heard me talk about it before, that from the age of 40, and that's 25, years ago now, and I gradually became undone, everything that was done up, and all the wounds and all the hurts and all the grievances and all the rage and all the trauma, and all of it came undone. That was, for a time, in many ways, my spiritual path was just the path of coming undone. I wasn't seeking anything. I really wasn't seeking anything apart from some relief. And when I gave up alcohol, that was the main thing. Everything started to come undone, because then I was forced to face myself, face life, face myself. And I didn't really like what I found, but I knew there was love in there. I knew there was love in me somehow. After all these years, of unpacking the grievances of the heart, unpacking the stories of the mind, unpacking all the hurt, all the rage, all the anger, the heart opened again. And that innocence that was there, and the joy that was there, and some of the freedom that was there, as a youth, as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, returned in many ways. In a different way, in a different body. I've got experience now, man of the world in some ways. And, but the tenderness and the joy and some of the innocence just returned. And, that points me now as a poet and as a teacher, maybe as such as I am, that I'm not alone in that kind of experience. It seems to be part of the human condition, or part of the experience that many have. We are born innocent. We are born, in many ways, most of us. We carry a residue, maybe from previous lives, from previous karma, and the family history, and all of this ancestry that we carry around, that does make its way into our lives. But essentially, as autonomous beings, we're born somewhat innocent. Oh, do we forget? The heart is the holder of so much. And at some point, whatever's held inside the heart needs to come out. Needs to come out and be felt. Like a dam that bursts. Like the ocean that pours forth. Like the river that finally flows again after being blocked up, dammed by rigidity of defences. When those defences come down by hook or by crook, by design or by grace, then the river starts to flow again. And obviously, to the defensive self, this is painful, because we live lives built on opinions and beliefs, or grievances, separation, and a kind of hardness or a victimness. And the mind will bend itself and offer stories to all of those experiences. The mind is tenacious and capricious and really very clever. And that's a good thing. But when mind creates these stories, when mind creates these stories that aren't true, that are just ways of protecting vulnerability or protecting the tenderness of the heart, then they're going to defend that at all cost. What I'm saying is, go beyond what mind says or doesn't say. Find whatever way you can to get the river flowing again. That river that wants to flow. This is life. This is all you've got. This is all we have. This is all we have, man. And in that sense, love is a gamble. I've said this before in a poem. Love is a gamble. It's an open hand in a closed hand game. You risk everything, only to realise there's nothing really to risk but closedness, but our ideas of self-protection, of that which we've tried to keep at bay. And maybe we did a successful job, but not really. I don't know anybody who does a successful job at keeping their heart closed. It's just suffering. Not much else, just suffering. This is all we have. There's an opportunity to let go of suffering. It's personal suffering. Do it.